Hello everybody, it's Javier and life is good. My 2-year-old is watching Frozen right now and I have like 10-15 minutes to make you guys a quick video, so let's get to it. Today we're talking about new construction incentives. Like most first-time homebuyers right now, incentives are looking pretty good to you, right? Like you maybe drove by a place or you got an email saying, hey, buy a new build house that's already built and you'll get like a freaking 4% interest or something, which for those that don't know, it saves you about like $400 to $600 a month in just pure interest and hundreds of thousands of dollars of interest over 30 years. So yeah, it's looking pretty slick. Now, new construction, of course, has its issues. It's not perfect. You know, not everyone is built amazingly, perfectly efficient. But if you treat it like any other house and you do your home inspection and you do your due diligence, it sounds like a pretty sweet deal. But here's the thing. There's going to be different incentives out there. There's going to be good ones. There's going to be bad ones. There's going to be so-so ones. But one thing is universally true. When you talk to the new construction people, they're going to seem like their incentives are the best. But are they really the best? We're going to go over all the incentives that I've seen in the thousands of houses I've helped people buy. But on top of that, we're going to also rank them from best to meh, so you know which ones to avoid. Cool? Let's get to it. By the way, for those that don't know, my name is Javi. I've been making videos like this for almost like a long time. Even before they were popular on YouTube, I was making videos like this for my client. I want to help you have a better idea of the real estate home buying process so you don't get taken advantage of. And when you're looking to buy, if you're in Phoenix, consider me. Or use any of my trusted agent using the referral link below. I also have a bunch of great resources that I also have a bunch of home buying resources for you to check out, so that's there. But anyways, let's get to it. First and foremost, the first one we're going to focus on is the X percentage of the purchase price incentive. So the way this may look is you might be looking, let's say like at a $400,000 house, and the incentive will say, hey, we're going to give you 6% of the purchase price as an incentive. Yes, that is my baby. As an incentive. So, for example, if it's a $400,000 house, that 6% incentive might be, $24,000. Now, this is going to look like a pretty sweet deal, and it's going to seem like the one that you should focus on. But let's break down exactly what exactly it means. Go watch Frozen. So let's break it down. You're getting $24,000, but closing costs for that house is probably going to be closer to 3%. Sometimes they're like closer to 2.5%, sometimes 2%, but every time I've seen this incentive, the closing costs estimated are always closer to 3%, which is interesting because, basically the way it works is the builder owns, of course, the building company. They also own the lender that's loaning you the money, and they also own the title company and the insurance company. So when they're giving you incentives to help you pay closing costs, what's the closing costs that they're charging? So the closing costs always end up being a little higher whenever they give you money. So you end up really only with 3%, which is closer to $12,000. Of course, this is using a $400,000 purchase price. Well, with 3% of the house, you really can't do much. We can buy the rate down. So like right now, the rate is like what? Yeah, so according to Mortgage News Daily, 30-year FHA loan as of today, March 26th, is 6.24. I mean, if you're buying down $12,000 worth, you might be in the low fives, like 5.2 maybe, or if you're lucky, I'd say it's closer to mid fives. And that's FHA. If you're going conventional, I mean, you're probably going to be much higher because it starts at 6.8 or 6.7 or whatever it was. So then your other option is you use those $12,000 to take it off the price. So now you're buying, instead of a $400,000 new build, you're buying a $388,000 new build. But the thing is, that's only going to save you about $40 to $50 on your monthly payment. So really, instead of them giving you 6% of the price, you should really think about it like, hey, they're paying my closing costs for me, and I might be able to buy my interest rate down like a full point down. Which sounds great when you're comparing resales, but there are much better options out there. So our next one that we're going to talk about is going to be the low fixed interest rate option. So you might see this one as like hey, buy this house and you get a 4.5% interest rate, or buy this house and get a 3.99, whatever the case is. So first and foremost, let's go over what I consider to be really good and what I consider to be okay. Off the bat, if you see an interest rate being offered between 2 to 3%, this is God tier, S tier. I have never seen this to date. The last time I saw these interest rates were during COVID. Next one is going to be about the 3 to 4% range. This is definitely an A tier, and this is most likely what you're going to see if you get lucky. I've only seen this once. A week ago, at his new construction community, Now, my clients unfortunately did not go for it, but it was a really nice house offered for 3.499, and that's because the house was under contract and it actually fell through. So the buyer that was buying it didn't buy it no more, and now they really needed to get rid of that house so they can keep the inventory going. These new builders need to sell so they can use that money to continue to pay their people and continue building more houses, especially in the beginning of the community. What you're probably going to see is closer to the 4 to 5% range, which this is going to be closer to like your B tier. Once again, this is talking with a 30-year loan. So you're going to see a 4% or a 4.5% or maybe even a 3.99. I'll throw that in there because technically it's almost 4. Overall, it's a solid thing, but it's really great when it's added as a package, not necessarily just the only thing. So first off, it's going to seem like it's a scam. It's not. Essentially, these builders pre-purchase these lower rates since they own the lending company. They pre-purchase them because they know their houses are going to sit and they don't want to have their inventory sit for a long time. So they'll buy a batch of these lower rates at the beginning of the quarter and they'll disperse them out to the houses that need help selling. So here's like a general cycle of how it works. First and foremost, it takes between 6 to 9 months to build a house. But in this example, let's just use 6 months. Let's just say they're a simple builder, nothing fancy. Around month 4 is when there's already a structure built. And at month 5, most of the house is done and it just needs final touches. Well, from month 0 to 5, a builder knows that they're not going to be able to sell it. They're definitely going to try to sell it. So they might offer you a little bit of incentives here, but nothing too crazy. At month 5, that's game time. They need that place sold for sure by the 5th month. So by the time it's fully finished, month 6, it's closed and they get that money and they like churn it back into the, building more places into their profits and whatnot. So you'll see from month 4 to 5, that's when you'll start seeing the incentives being offered. And this is where you might see the, hey, we're going to give you a 4% or 4.5% if you buy it. Now, if you find a house that is either close to month 6 or already past the 6-month point where the house is already fully finished and they still haven't found a buyer, this is where they get desperate. So remember how I told you that one house that they were offering for 3.49 because a buyer bailed? Well, at that point, they were past month 6. They needed that house sold yesterday. So what they're going to do is they're going to put money on top of their pre-purchase low interest rate to get the interest rate down even lower so they can get rid of that house. So the rate will really depend on what part of the cycle that builder is in and how desperate they are. So you'll see that they'll have a list of houses that are like, let's say March closings. You'll get a 3.99 if you get these houses. But if you want an April closing, you'll get a 4.5. They're not quite as desperate to get rid of that. So they're not going to really entice you with an amazing rate. Or let's say if they have a model that sells a lot quicker and faster, they know that, so they're not going to give you that great of incentive with that one. But the ones that are kind of like not really selling, they'll give you an amazing incentive on that one, right? But either way, this is an incentive that, in my opinion, is very valuable because not only will it reduce your monthly payment, but it's going to reduce your total interest paid over the life of the loan. So let me give you an example of how that would look like. So if we look at a standard resale for $400,000 with a 3.5% down, then let's just go and fill in these like just common numbers that I see here. So taxes, insurance, PMI, HOA, and that monthly payment looks like $28.94. And which, if you pay that loan the entire life, you're going to pay $483,000 of interest. And for a $386,000 loan amount, that's kind of insane. So if you get one of these situations where, let's say you get a 3.99, that interest goes down significantly. So now after 30 years, you're paying $165K. And on top of that, your monthly dropped down to $23.21. So you're paying less per month, and more of what you pay is going towards your actual principal, not your interest. This is going to be definitely a good one. So, but once again, it can be even more powerful if it's paired with other things. The third one you're going to see is pretty straightforward. It's going to be the we'll pay X amount towards your closing costs. So sometimes they do a percentage, sometimes they do a flat number. So they might say $8,000, they might say 2%. In my experience, most closing costs are going to be about, at least with builders, $10,000 to $12,000. So if they're saying, hey, we'll give you $10,000, then you should probably expect to come up with a little bit. If they're giving you like $8,000, then you should probably expect 3 to 4. But there's nothing stopping you from just having them pull up like the last closing statement for a recent house so they can give you a better idea. Don't let them just tell you, it should be enough, don't worry. And the last incentive I see is going to be the 2-1 buy down. or the 3-2-1 buy down, right? So these are basically both the same idea. How it's going to be pitched to you is for year 1, we're going to give you a 2.99. For year 2, we're going to give you a 3.99% interest rate. And for the rest of your life, we're going to give you a 4.99 from years 3 to 30. So we're going to give you a freaking interest rate at 3% for the first year and a interest rate at 4% for the second year. Or for a 3-2-1 buy down. Hey, we're crazy. We're going to give you a 2% interest rate for year 1, a 3% interest rate for year 2, a 4% interest rate for year 3, and for the rest of the life, we're going to give you a 5% rate because we're just crazy. Okay, here's the thing. It's a separate product from a lower rate. It's a separate cost, okay? But don't get it twisted. They're not giving you a lower rate for a few years. Think of it instead like this. Imagine I'm a mafia boss. I definitely have the body for it. Let's say I'm Javier Soprano over here. And I was like, I'm a builder. And you're coming to me. Here's how you should look at that 2-1 buy down. I'm bribing you. I'm bribing you with about $8,000 to $9,000. Here's how I'm doing it. I'm going to give you like $400 to $500 off your monthly payment for year 1. For the second year, I'm going to give you about $200 to $300 off your monthly payment. And if you add that up, it's going to add up to about $8,000 to $9,000 of savings. So here's the thing. Me as Javier Soprano Building Incorporated, I can only do so much legally to help you buy this house, right? I've already given you closing costs. I'm already buying your interest rate down. And I cannot give you more concessions because there's nothing we can do. And here's one thing Javier Soprano Building Incorporated will not do, also other builders, is we cannot reduce that price. Because if we reduce that price, now we cannot continue increasing the values of our neighborhood. It's going to shock, it's just going to affect everything. So they're just trying to find a way to get you to buy that house without reducing the price. So here's a sneaky way they do it. We're going to bribe you with $8,000 to $9,000, but we're not going to give that to you cash. We're just going to reduce your payment for the first year for this much, reduce your payment for the second year, and that's it. Now here's the thing. You can do this for any mortgage anywhere. You don't have to do it just with new construction houses. If you wanted to buy a resale and do a 2-1 buy down, you can do it for whatever it costs. So here's the thing. A friend of mine, Kyle Seagraves, who runs Win the House You Love, he's basically the guy that looks like handsome Squidward. You might have seen him. If you're looking to buy a house, you might have seen his videos on YouTube. He's really good when it comes to like mortgage stuff. He made this calculator that just really simply describes how it works number wise. So if you're buying a $400,000 house and say your down payment's 3.5, and say the rate that they're giving you for the years 3 to 30 is 5%. Okay. So year 1, they're going to give you $445 off. Year 2, they're going to give you $220 off per month. Right. And if you add that amount, that's going to cost them $8,089. So if you wanted to do this for a new construction, really the builder is finding a way to throw more money at it. They're going to pay $8,000 to do this. You can also do this if you wanted to buy like any other house. And the 3-2-1 buy down works similarly, except it usually adds up to about $15,000, right? Because that first year is going to be like $600 off instead of $400. And then years 2 is $400, and years 3 is $200 off, and then boom, right? It's just a way for them to funnel money as in savings to get you to buy the house. But anyways, now that we're done with that, let's kind of just do a quick ratings chart here. I think for me, my opinion, top tier is going to be for sure the lower fixed rate. Like that's going to be the most value down the road. This is going to make it worth for me to buy new construction. It's going to be probably another 20 to 30 minutes on your commute, but you at least get a lower interest rate. In second, I would probably put the 2-1 buy down or the 3-2-1 buy down. Probably 3-2-1 buy down first, then 2-1 buy down, because it is not my money. It is their money that they're using to give me a little relief for the next 2 years. Now, the important thing here, ladies and gentlemen, is we don't use that as like the months, year 1, year 2. We don't base our budget. What? I'm telling you, I'm being bullied by my 2-year-old here. So it's their money. So they're going to throw money at it, fine. But don't base your budget off your year one and year two. Like, don't fall into that trap of like, hey, you know, you're just going to refinance after year two anyway. So don't worry. You don't have to live with year three and on. No, I see a lot of intelligent people say, hey, I'm still going to pay that difference, $400, $500 for the years one for those 12 months. I'm going to use a difference and just put that into a savings account. So I'm still paying that monthly payment, or I'm going to put it towards a principal so I can pay off the principal faster. Whatever it is you want to do, build the habit of that big payment down the road. Don't rely on that first year one and two, but it's a nice little relief that you can use to either save or do something with it. So for number 3, I would probably put just a flat closing costs, like credit to help me pay my closing costs. Extra points if it's like a higher than 10,000, but if it's at least 5 to 10, it'll at least cover the majority of them. If they're giving you less than 5, you still have to pay the majority of them, so that kind of sucks, but that's that. And the last one is that flat X%. They always make it sound like it's a big deal, but to me, I just don't think it's worth it that much, unless they want to do it like on top of things. But usually they just do something separate. Now, what you want to do is you want to stack as many incentives as possible. I have seen people get like a 4.5 and a 2-1 buy down. So for year one is 2.5, year two is 3.5, and like $8,000 in closing costs. It all depends on the following question: how desperate are they to get rid of that house? And are they having a hard time selling it? So there might be one that just has kind of ugly features. It has maybe a weird color, maybe it's a weird location, maybe it's a weird model. Like, who needs a 2-bedroom, 5-bathroom home? I'm just making something up. But if you can just suck it up and let this builder really feel the sting of that for an extended period of time, you can get yourself a sweet situation where you're going to get all these incentives. Thank you so much for watching the video. Remember that you can always access the Homebuyer HQ. It's a bunch of free resources and spreadsheets to help you with your home buying process. Special thanks to everybody out there who, even though they don't have to, they decide to put a number other than 0 here to helps with the EV freaking frozen habit that we have here. But either way, if you can't pay, that's fine. You can get it for 0 and you can get it for free. There's also a Home and Money if you're looking for any agents across the country. Go ahead and check it out. Links in the description. You click a few buttons. You click where you are, what you do, not what you do for a living, but where you are, what zip code, what kind of house you're looking for. You'll be connected with a great agent. And if you're looking to buy in the Arizona area, go to my website, javiervidana.com. I just realized my link's broken. I don't know what's going on there, but it should still lead you here. You can schedule an appointment with me. You can get my information. You send me a message, email me, call me, do whatever you need to do. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate you. I don't know why I clicked that one. It's hard. It's hard taking. I guess I didn't really take care of the 2-year-old. I think she more or less bullied me. So I guess I should say it's hard to make a video while being bullied by a 2-year-old. Thank you guys.